Tom Tormey, Cosmic Comic History at Cosmic Comic History on Instagram. The link is down below. He's with us every week, dishing out comic book history goodness. This one it's a good one. All right, for all y'all that think that comic book today are too woke, the social justice warriors are all over the place. Did you know that back in the 40s, Superman went after the KKK? It's true, and we're going to check that out right now. And when we check it out, we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tom Tormey from Cosmic Comic History, and this is your Cosmic Minute. Whenever a comic book character tackles a real-world issue, there are those that will moan and groan as they lament the days when comics were just good old-fashioned fun. But did you know that superheroes have addressed politics and culture since their inception? In his very first appearance in June of 1938, Superman was a fictional embodiment of FDR's New Deal policies. Throughout the 1940s, Superman bled red, white, and blue as he pushed war bonds and brought the fight to the Axis powers. And, as we'll talk about today, in post-World War II America, Superman was able to put a spotlight on an invisible empire. In 1940s, journalist Stetson Kennedy's back injuries kept him going overseas to fight Nazism. Instead, he chose to expose racism at home. Kennedy infiltrated the KKK and gathered up as much information as he could. He wanted that information to get out to as many people as possible. He contacted the producers of the Adventures of Superman radio show. The expose was turned into a 16-episode series entitled The Clan of the Fiery Cross, and it revealed the inner workings of the Klan, even revealing secret codes and phrases. Within weeks, the Klan's membership drive ground to a halt. Even longtime members, now being mocked by their children at home, left the Klan. The Klan became a joke, all thanks to Stetson Kennedy and Superman. I'm still Tom Tormey from Cosmic Comic History, and that was your Cosmic Minute. Until next week, be well and stay safe.
I love it. I love it. I think I would like to think everybody watching this right now can all say that the KKK is bad. We don't like the KKK, right? I personally will put myself out there and say that. For a story like this back in the 40s, I think that did a lot of good. And I think this is amazing to hear about because you had comic books involved in political issues, societal issues from the beginning. Am I right, Chris?
Like it was, look, the superhero that was created was an embodiment of battling oppression, battling marginalization. Superman was the embodiment to say, we will not be marginalized. We will not be victimized and oppressed. So, it is really ironic that we live in a culture right now that tries to sensationalize some form of political political sensationalism. How else to say it? That's going on right now as if it was never there before. This has been there from the beginning, 80 plus years now. So it's a fact of the matter. I'm not here to tell anyone to like it or dislike it or enjoy it or not. But when we sit and say that, well, politics were never in comics before, when I was growing up reading them, all that stuff, like Tom said, they were just for fun and there wasn't politics shoved down my throat. There absolutely were politics shoved down your throat every time you opened up a comic book. You opened up a Superman comic book, politics are being shoved down your throat. You open up an X-Men comic book, politics are being shoved down your throat. And this happened through the 30s and 40s and 60s and 70s as well. And it's been there from the beginning. But my only thing that really, I feel, changes the environment of where we're at today is we have a technology called social media. And social media provides a platform of instantaneous information, and it provides individuals that would never have a platform before to have a very valid platform to speak their voice, and not only to speak it, but to be loud. And I honestly think if we had internet, social media like we did whether it be the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, or 80s, I do believe we would hear the same rhetoric back then as we do today. We just didn't hear it because it wasn't accessible, it wasn't normalized, and you know, it didn't show its face. So I believe that element of it, you know, was there. It was just hidden. We've kind of opened up the door for individuals to say, hey, look. But like, again, to Tom's point, the bottom line is it's always been there. Superheroes in general are the embodiment of social and political debate.
They've always been intertwined with that, and I think Tom would agree with that. He's in the chat right now. If y'all have any questions about any sort of comic book history, but it's always been intertwined. We're not saying every issue has a political, you know, ideal attached to it, or a political belief, or some sort of propaganda or anything like that. That's definitely not the case. But they deal with real world issues,
right? And
the writers are allowed at times to have a platform to be able to write about what they believe in is right or wrong. And you have the choice to buy that or not. You have the choice to believe that or not.
Yep.
And that's very important. That's very important. And again,
go ahead.
Today, what we see today in terms of the writing, in terms of the storylines that touch upon things like inclusion, or things like racism, or things, you know, or domestic assault, any kind of issue you hear about, you know, it's the same thing that were touched upon today that they touched upon years ago.
Well, let me say too, and this is another misconception. We politicize everything, meaning we coin everything that's related to social and cultural and economic conditions to politics. It's not true. When we talk about race, we're not talking about politics, unless you're talking about influencing policy making that can essentially affect race relations or something like that. But when we're talking about, I demand to be treated equally for the color of my skin, that's not political. There's nothing. Look, we can look at the simple textbook definition of politics, and it's influencing decision making on a governmental level. That's what it is. Talking about equality is not a political issue. It is a human issue. It is a social issue. So, you know, there's a line that needs to be drawn in a distinguished separation between stating politics and social issues. For example, if you have a character that comes into a comic and they come out as gay, that's not a political agenda. It's not even a political issue. It's a human issue. It has nothing to do with politics, unless the storyline starts talking about gay marriage rights and how to impact the rights for gays to have equal marriage status. Then that's a political issue, because the politics of it is based in the policy making that would allow these laws to pass. So again, there needs to be a clear a distinction between addressing social and cultural issues and addressing things that have direct political issues as well.
Absolutely. This was such a great Cosmic Minute, and we really appreciate Tom, all that he does, and he's part of the show, because there are some nuggets of history that are like, oh, entertaining and fun, but this is important stuff. And Tom, we really appreciate you bringing this to us. And I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know that the radio show touched upon it. I didn't know of Stetson Kennedy, and I'm glad you brought this to our attention and produced this segment for us. Tom joins us every week. He'll be back next week with the Cosmic Minute, touching upon comic book related history, and we are super excited to see what that subject will be. So stick around, watch us next week. You'll see Tom again.